to share. And then he's going to introduce our guest speaker, Maureen, who's joined us just recently. So David, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. Just a quick thing. I've had to change. Most of my leadership programming is, of course, in person, but more than that, it's games. We play a lot of games and then get leadership skills. So I've had to figure out how games I can do online, and it's been kind of different. Today's program, I tried to think about what's one of the tough things our organizations had to do, and that is we don't have much money. We never have. We probably never will. And yet in this digital world, somebody's got to do stuff. I mean, there's things that need to happen. And so I went out searching for people who help us learn about this digital world. And Maureen does that. And she calls it the accidental, I think she calls it the accidental techie, in that somebody in your organization has to do it, and you might get assigned, maybe you like it or whatever, but there you are. And so what I wanted to do is basically have Maureen share a lot of tips and a lot of ideas about, okay, you're the techie now in your organization. How's that feel? So take it away, Maureen.
How does that feel? First of all, I just want to say that I was soaking up everything that you were sharing like a sponge, because I almost wanted to say, David, these people have it figured out. They're pivoting, they're innovating, they're trying things, right? And Lisa, your point was such a great one, that sometimes it takes times of great stress to force us to get out of our little boxes. I have done this event like this for 5 years, and you just kind of, you tweak it, but essentially it's the same thing. So before I share my screen and really start the presentation for the next 25, 30 minutes, my name is Maureen Wallbeoff. I'm a nonprofit digital strategist and technology coach. And David reached out to me and said, hey, I've got this great group, and we're all kind of struggling with what's the right thing to do, what's the right amount of money to spend. And nonprofit technology is something that I have been involved with since like the late 90s. I remember when the fax machines came to my nonprofit organization, and it's gotten more and more complicated and more challenging. And so I spend a lot of time doing direct client work, but I also do a lot of teaching and speaking and workshopping. So when David said, would you come in and speak with this group, I was really excited to do it. I'm out on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, so like almost straight across, a little bit south from you all. And I don't know if we would ever have met each other if it hadn't been for this pandemic. So that's one good thing that is coming out of this unprecedented time. So let me share my screen and fire up the deck. Okay. Can everybody see? All right, fabulous. I'm going to minimize our faces so we can see the whole deck. Okay, cool. So today we're going to spend some time talking about how to level it up. Everybody's doing things online, email marketing, you got a website, you're doing things on Facebook, maybe you've got virtual events and auctions, as some of you mentioned, but really, what's the right stuff to focus on where you're getting a good return on investment? This technology stuff is never free. Even if you're using a free Constant Contact account, you've got brain power, you've got staff time, you've got the impression that you're leaving your supporters and your donors with. So that's what we're going to spend time on today. As I said, I've spent more than 15 years working inside and alongside nonprofit organizations. I owned an agency for 10 years. And then I got very burned out after a decade of worrying about other people. And for the past 2.5 years, I've been a solo consultant who focuses on helping nonprofit organizations use all of that technology effectively. Most of the time, we feel like we're working in service of our platforms. Somebody's got to send that email. Somebody's got to post on Facebook. Those things need to be working for us. We need to know, like, I did that because this outcome is going to happen. I do a lot of project management, a lot of helping organizations select the right technology. I'm completely unbiased. I'm like Switzerland. I don't care what people use as long as it's the right system for their budget and their functionality requirements. This is what we're going to talk about today. Digital engagement program ingredients. What goes into all of that holistically? How to improve your approach. And I'm talking with like a one-person team. So all of this is attainable as long as you're thinking about it in a most helpful way. Excuse me. Setting some collaborative goals if you are working with folks in other teams inside your organization. And then I'm going to give you a pep talk and we'll do some open Q&A. So online engagement is really about putting the right information in front of the right person at the right time, using the right channel, and making the right ask, the right action we want them to take. And this is what it would be great if online engagement was like this. I wake up tomorrow and everything's squared away. We've got our goals set. Google Analytics is working. Somebody's measuring things. We know what's working and what's not working, and everybody's working together. But this is what it feels like in real life. It's the thing I do on Saturday. It's the thing I'm not comfortable doing, and I'm hopeful that I'm doing it right. Nobody really trained me to do it. Nobody's really taught me how to think about this stuff. And it's, you know, it feels risky and expensive. We'd rather not get it wrong. So often we don't do anything when this is how we feel. But what do you really need? Like, what's essential? Do you need Snapchat? Do you need TikTok? Probably not. But what do you need? And, you know, I will give David a PDF copy of this deck so that you can go back to your organizations or to yourself when you've got a minute and think about what you have versus what you really need. Sometimes you have 2 email tools. Sometimes you have no online fundraising system. So there can be redundancies and gaps. But this is the stuff that you really need for a decent digital program, for it to be worth your time doing any of this stuff. You need some kind of database, right? Usually it's a donor database or a fundraising system, somewhere to store information about your supporters, individuals, organizations, and track what they're doing. It's the database of record. Maybe it's a full CRM, a constituent relationship management system, where you're tracking all kinds of data about people and organizations. Maybe it's just for donors. Sometimes it's the single source of truth inside your organization. Often we don't have that. There's 7 sources of truth, and we don't really know which one is most accurate. Got to have an email marketing tool to send out continual, fresh information, to put it in front of people. And the size of your email list and the health of your email list plays a huge role in how successful you're going to be getting people to do things, to give a gift, to buy a ticket, to come to a performance, to sign their kid up for a program. Many of us need event management software of some kind. Eventbrite is one that many people are using to allow people to register, give information about what's going to happen at this event, collect info and money, and manage tickets and inventory. Even virtually, you've got to have some control over who's coming, who got invited, who do I follow up with, who attended, and who didn't attend. Multimedia content, I heard videos, I believe it was Lisa talking about her cruise event. Video is the best content you can ever generate. And it doesn't have to be professional. It doesn't have to be polished. Everybody's used to watching on their phones, you know, guilty Facebook tips, cooking tips or whatever, or how to clip your cat's claws, whatever. They're raw videos. They're amateur, they're short, and they're real. And so you don't need to invest a lot to do good things with video. Online fundraising, you've got to have a place for people to make a gift online. PayPal is fine as a starter really just a transactional functionality. The latest data that I read that came out this spring said that the average donation, if you send a donor to a PayPal donation form versus a branded donation form that's part of a fundraising system, 45% higher gift on the branded form than if you're just sending somebody to PayPal. You can also have people do monthly giving very easily on a proprietary form. PayPal doesn't handle that well. It doesn't know how to do that. Social media, you know, every time I turn around, there's another channel. Pick one. You know, Facebook birthday fundraisers are great in terms of awareness building, getting donors who you would never find because David set up a fundraising campaign for you. I do a whole training all about managing Facebook birthday fundraisers because as a fundraiser, it's frustrating. You don't have any control over who sets up a birthday fundraiser, how they're marketing your organization, what their goals are, and who gets the donor information and how long that actually takes you to get. So it can be frustrating, but it is an $8 billion channel. And it costs you nothing but a little bit of time because you don't even get transaction fees charged. So that would be something I might recommend you think about in your end of year fundraising toolkit. Surveys, being able to collect information from people about their interests. If you offer multiple programs like the foundation who reported back a few minutes ago, and you want to know who's interested in content area A versus B, MailChimp, Constant Contact, or other email tools make it really easy for you to send little personalized chunks of content to your supporters, but you have to know what they're interested in first. And so sending out maybe like a 2-3 question survey, super quick to your list, cats or dogs. And then you know the cat people get the cat header image and the dog people get the dog header image, for example. And your website. Website is your big front door. It's going to get more eyeballs on you than anything else ever. So it needs to be updated. It needs to work well on a mobile device, and it needs to accurately reflect in a very short period of time the caliber of your work in the world. Who are these people? How are they helping? How can I get involved? The 3 hows when someone hits your homepage should be really, really apparent. So that's the stuff in the toolkit, right? All the things we can play with when it comes to digital engagement. But let's look at our supporters, because that's really why we're doing this engagement stuff. Knowing your audiences, if you think about your whole file in segments, not traditional segments like one-time donor, gave last year but not this year, event attendee, major donor prospect, stuff like that. But think about them in terms of engagement. So you've got inactives. Some people call them bystanders. They're on the list. Maybe they've looked at your social media. Your Google Analytics are tracking them. But they're not really doing anything. They're not clicking anything in an email, and they're certainly not taking any action that you can track. Next up the ladder are listeners. These are people who follow you on social media. Maybe they like you every once in a while, but they're definitely paying attention to the content that you're putting out there. Next up the engagement ladder are spreaders. These are people who share your message around for you. And I bet if you think about your Facebook, your Twitter, or even your LinkedIn followers, that there are people who consistently like your stuff. You might want to send those people a private message and ask them to share, because they are absolutely spreading information about you to their contacts. And that's lending an air of social proof that if you found that person, that contact on your own, it would take you a long time to kind of bring them as close to you as they would be if they were introduced to you by somebody else. It's just like donors, right? Who else can you introduce me to who might support my work? Evangelists engage beyond the digital world. Maybe they stay in the digital world right now in 2020, by attending events. They're present where you need them to be. They show up, they're on a webinar, they're on a call, but they haven't really joined your work yet. That's that final group. Instigators are actually joining in your work as a partner by making a gift, even a $5 gift. That person is investing, and they're also probably likely to tell people that they're supporting you. So these are one way of many to look at digital and online supporter types. And I want you to ask yourselves these questions. You might even go back at a staff meeting and pose this amongst your team members. Do you know all the ways that somebody's connected to your organization, or do you just know if they give and other people know if they volunteer? Does everybody get exactly the same content all the time? Newsletter, 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 annual report, newsletter, appeal. You know, is everybody in the same segment? And are different departments or teams or people inside your organization communicating separately to the same folks? So volunteer people are communicating with volunteers, and then your membership or your fundraising people or marketing and communications are communicating to those people, not as a cohesive whole on behalf of your organization. Is there coordination going on? And the thing I'll say about content here is that if your content is for everyone, it's not really for anyone. It's maybe a little too generic. So we'll talk a little bit about how to get your arms around that in a second. Channels again and activities, right? What should we be asking people to do based on where they are now? Website, promoting campaigns and events, telling your story, inspiring trust and innovation, taking gifts, and having people sign up for your email. Has to be core to what you're using your website to do for it to be effective. Facebook, video, go live once a week for 10 minutes, behind the scenes. That's all you need to do. Share pictures, news. Facebook especially is a good place if your mission supports this to be really loose and casual. If your tone is generally, you know, fairly buttoned up and formal, Facebook and other social media channels are a good place to get more playful and creative. You can encourage Facebook birthday fundraising. You can set up donations on Facebook. You can thank donors if you know that they follow you on Facebook. You can call them out if they've given you permission to do that publicly. Use direct messages or go live. Email, we all know what we're doing on email, but again, try to figure out how you can somewhat modify the content without needing to send 17 versions of the same email. Small tweaks maybe in the sender name or in the call to action button. You might want to vary it based on who someone is to you. Twitter, great place to share quotes. It's the place to share quotes and to run polls. Experiment with hashtags. Those things help people find you. I can't tell how many prospective clients find me because they do hashtag nonprofit CRM and they find me that way. So use them, make them your own. Instagram stories, a couple of images, and then people play them, and it gives you a little bit more ability to make an emotional reaction if you're sharing a couple of images and text rather than just one. Snapchat, I'm not finding that being super effective for nonprofits these days. If you've got a very youth-oriented mission, maybe you're talking to people that you serve through that channel, but not necessarily a great donor channel. I will also say Instagram just came out with Instagram fundraising like 10 minutes ago. So I haven't investigated it yet. I can't really speak to it, but that's coming soon. YouTube is really important. If you've got video that you can share, even a video that you recorded and shared at your annual gala last year, put that up on YouTube. People use YouTube as a place to find information just like Google. And Google actually prioritizes video results when someone searches things. Videos are always going to come up as suggested items first. Maximize that if you can. LinkedIn is great. You know, I think nonprofits tend to, in some regard, forget about LinkedIn a little bit because we're all there, not necessarily our donors, but it's a great place to spread the word about what you're doing. Podcasts is a little bit more of a lift, but I have seen some very small organizations under, let's say, $250,000 a year in support have a podcast where they're literally 10-minute episodes. And there's lots of data that suggests that podcast listeners convert to donors more quickly than someone who's just getting your email list and getting news about you that way. Pinterest, the one place that I find Pinterest to be useful in your digital toolkit is if you're doing end of year fundraising and you've got symbolic gifts, you know, like $25 will stuff a backpack for this school year for one kid. So on Pinterest, you could have pictures of the different backpacks with things inside them. Someone could click on that pin and get taken right to your donation form and make that gift. How do you move people? It's hard. You know, you've got to sit down and sort of make a plan a little bit. If someone is just a social media follower, you want to try to get them on your email list. That's your call. You know, subscribe. And once they've subscribed, you want to get them to maybe attend a virtual event or make a first gift. If someone's already on your email list, they're just hanging out there and not doing anything else, first gift. Perhaps you could set up a new donor welcome series or a new subscriber welcome series of 1 or 2 messages that are pre-written that go out a week after someone has signed up automatically. Most email tools can do that. You might need to upgrade the level of account that you have in Constant Contact or MailChimp, but many systems will do that. You plan it, you write it, you set the schedule of when they need to go. And then every time somebody signs up for email, they automatically get those messages. If they make a first gift, ask them to give monthly. Ask them to volunteer. The best time to ask someone to take an action is right after they've taken one, which seems weird, but psychologically from a human behavior perspective, and with data and statistics behind that, it is true. Once I'm in my feel-good mode, I'm more likely to do the second thing for you. Somebody just attends an event, they've got to sign up for your email list. That doesn't always happen, especially if those are managed by different people in different systems. So once they attend the event, get them on the email list for sure, and then first gift, sustainer, volunteer. First time donor, again, opt them into your email list. You want to see them again, giving another gift in some way. And the best way to do that is by keeping them on your list with relevant content, and then maybe have them attend a virtual event or register to bid at your auction or start a birthday fundraiser maybe. Sustainers are tough because they come in, they're already a donor and they're already giving monthly. So we sort of run out of ideas for those people. I think perhaps asking for them to auto renew, you know, give us your information so that the gift keeps coming every single month. You don't have to do anything. Subscribe, share information about us, maybe give them some images that they can share around on social media and spread the word for you, and attending events and volunteering. And volunteers, they need to be on your email list too. And you should bring them in and let them explore other ways that they might want to support you other than dedicating time. So how do we get better at what we are already doing wherever you are, in terms of we're doing a little bit, we're doing some stuff, we're doing a lot? There's always ways to get better. And that's through collaboration. Maybe there's even some opportunities to collaborate amongst this group where, you know, I'd love to pick your brain about that virtual event that you held. What were your lessons learned? What platform did you pick? It's easier and faster to do things as a group, But if you're stuck with everybody for themselves, this is what you get. You get these data silos. There's turf wars. Whose names are these? People are doing gift entry in 3 places sometimes, or data entry in multiple places. Systems rapidly become unmanaged. Email collisions, volunteer gets 3 emails from you in 1 week, sometimes 2 in 1 day, if volunteer people and membership people aren't coordinating. You can't report on performance. It's hard to say, this is the number of volunteers who also are this and this to us. So it really dilutes your messaging, and it disappoints your constituents because they know you're tracking them. And if you're not using that information to give them a good experience, it is disappointing, disappointing. Buddying up in this group or back home inside your teams, start to hold some meetings to talk about things, plan campaigns together. Volunteer people, I've got our auction in 2 weeks. Could you put something about that in your volunteer message that's going out tomorrow? Everybody helps each other. High tide raises all boats. If you're going to have a collision, somebody either is traffic cop or you just make a new agreement. You send yours Monday, I'll send mine Thursday. Have a frame of experimentation. It's a learning experience because it's not just the technology and the tactics are shifting under our feet, but so is our experience with the pandemic. So nobody's been where we are. There's nobody who went ahead as an explorer or a pioneer who could go, this is what you should do. So we all have to be okay with the results and maximize those lessons learned. We thought this would happen. This happened, it was better. We thought this would happen. Oh, this happened. We're never going to try that again. Or I wonder why it didn't perform. Reuse content for sure and start to measure some data. You get really efficient and you get better insight into what people are and aren't doing with you. This is the nirvana. Go far. Digital engagement, tech stuff, online stuff is an organizational priority. And you know that because strategy, people, and your systems all work together to help your organization hit your goals. You've got a long-term vision for where you're going. We want this many members. We want this many sustainers at the end of 2021. And this is how we're all going to work together to get us there. Investment is made, even minimal investment is made in people and how they use these tools. We all have turnover, right? So somebody was formally trained on a thing, they're gone. And you put a new person with a login in front of a screen and gave them thoughts and prayers. Here you go. Get in there to MailChimp. Let me know if you have any questions. People have to be supported to do these things well. You got to be cool with experimentation and you got to use data. I hear this every day. We want to be a data-driven organization. So start using some data. And that really lets everybody row together and you get so much farther more quickly. Collaborative goals with other teams. I want you to focus on content sharing, interdepartmental communication, and tagging your supporters with the different things they are. They're a volunteer and a monthly donor and a major gift prospect and an event attendee. Everybody should be able to look and really see who someone is to you. You can create a rudimentary on Google Calendar, an editorial calendar. When's messaging going out? Who owns different systems inside your organizations? Other than not me, which is usually the response. Do you know who owns your database? Do you know who owns your email marketing tool and what ownership means to you? Sharing collateral is the best time saver in batching content. If you remember nothing else from this 30 minutes, you gotta use things and reuse them, chop them up. You got one email blast going out every month. Put a snippet of it on your social media channels. Put a link to it on your website. Tweet it, stick it on LinkedIn. Share that content that you're working so hard to create Get it as far and wide as you can so you don't have to make new stuff this week. And get trained on Google Analytics. It's easy. Google Analytics Academy is free, walks you step by step. You get a certification at the end to know how to record who's coming to your website, where are they going, how long are they staying, and are they doing other things too. It's, you know, you could also pay somebody to have it set up, but sometimes that's not in our budget or a possibility, but you can learn it and get pretty good at it pretty easily. It's not as misty and arcane as we think that it is. Talking to your leadership, for those of you who are not leaders in this meeting, you got to set a digital strategy. You got to know what you're doing and why. Map it to your org goals. Take small bites, annual, not 5 years, because lots can change. Define your top audiences. Who's most important to your organization? Is it animal adopters? Is it parents? Is it educators? Is it volunteers? It's going to be different for every one of you. Who's your top 3? And then what do you want to get them to do more of? How are you going to do that with your action plan, with the systems you have now? Automation, I talked about that automated welcome series for someone who signs up for email. Lots of systems can do things for us without a human having to do it. So lean on that stuff where it's possible. Clean up your data if you have to. Everybody's data is messy. And I don't know about you, but I have worked with people and for people who had shiny object syndrome, right? You go back to the office with some takeaways from this session today. We got to be on Instagrams doing donations now. We got to be on there. Is that really a priority, or do you stick it in a parking lot when the time comes that you can actually be planful about it? With your board, how do you get the board involved? Sometimes they're techie, sometimes they're not. Get them to understand your strategy. That's really fundamental. They have to know what you're doing at a high level, white paper, executive summary level. I do a lot of this facilitation, strategic technology planning with boards. And I use this zoom in, zoom out, like zoom out in 10 years. This is where we want to be. And in order to start getting there, we're going to zoom in, and this is where we're focusing in this next 6 months. You can present this strategy in ways that make their ears perk up, which is we have growth opportunities that we need to take advantage of. We want to run more efficiently. Every board wants those things. We all want those things. Using your digital channels intelligently and planfully helps you get there. Frame your investment is giving you some competitive advantage. You know, we're missing out on this opportunity unless we make this investment. You can educate them on some of the components, especially, you know, if you're going to do search ads or get a Google grant for Google search ads. You might be doing some paid ads, maybe, especially if you've got programs that you want people to enroll in. Give them enough information so that they know enough to be comfortable with the decision that you're making. And be sure to report back regularly about what's working and what's not working. Remember 6 months ago, we talked about this digital strategy. Here's where we're at with that. Pep Talk, keep it simple. This is not about the Taj Mahal of digital programs. It is about what's good enough, an adequate solution over an optimal solution. You are never going to have the time or the money to do it all. So focus on the things that are likely to bring you the results that you're looking for. Try to be open to new ways of doing your work and go for the native solution. If your fundraising system handles sustainers like this, change your business process so that you just flow with that instead of 1,000 workarounds and band-aids to preserve your business process when the system doesn't support it. Don't build everything at once. That parking lot I mentioned, you're going to have great ideas. What if we did this? Or here's the next step for that. Parking lot it, because then that's going to distract you and you're going to lose your focus and you're going to lose ground. It's going to take a little while for you to get into a groove if you're working with your teams together in a new way. 15-minute update meeting, quick, 15 minutes, report out, questions, great. Gets people in the groove of sort of sharing information. Woo! Okay, now I'm gonna be quiet. And I am going to get us, back to, I can even stop my share for a second so I can see everybody. So who's got questions? I ran a little over. I'm terribly sorry, David.
Oh, you're fine. If anybody has questions, you can unmute yourself. You can put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question directly to Maureen right now. Mark's gonna set go. Yeah, Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, Lisa.
Maureen, my question is, it sounds like you have a great service to provide for teams like us that I think it's very crucial that we don't take risks with trying to do it yourself. So one of my questions, I don't know if it's in your website that I noted, but if we were to put together a plan and thought we were on a good track, do you offer a service that you just evaluate a plan that's going into place and kind of can edit that plan accordingly?
Right size it, right? So sometimes we bite off more than we can chew, or we use some magical thinking about capacity. Sure, you're going to write 700 emails in 2 weeks. So yes, absolutely. I do that, Lisa. This is not a pitch for my services, by the way. I'm doing this as an education item, but certainly anyone is welcome to contact me, and we could, have a chat and see if there's a there.
Okay, great. I'm definitely going to reach out for eco-life conservation. I'm went from event planner to creative director to kind of, business development, marketing consultant. Everybody wears multiple hats.
Right.
So I think that there's definitely a need for somebody like yourself to look over, and just even if it gives us a thumbs up, you guys are in the right direction, and here's what you'd recommend based on the fact that this event is 2 months away, 2.5 months away.
Right. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, Lisa.
Great. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Was this useful? Was this a useful session? Yeah.
Yeah, I found it very useful, and I missed the name of the donation. Instead of PayPal, you use who?
Oh yeah, so there's a lot of systems out there that they're called fundraising systems or fundraising databases. So in terms of cost, and functionality, it's built on how many people you have in your list and what functionality you need. But there's some really great products out there that are like $10 a month, $20 a month. Little Green Light, I might look at.
Okay.
Is one. Bloomerang is another. And again, no business relationship at all. And then there's another product called Elio, E-L-E-O, and their website is Elio Online. So you certainly can look them up. And David, I'll also give you a link afterwards to a place where you can look up lots of products and read about them if you want to see what's out there.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Maureen. That was really informative, and it's nice to see that we do a lot of those digital channels already. Sorry, I'm moving you back, and my desk space there's my water bottle.
It's okay.
Two things. Because I do all of those types of channels of marketing, and I'm the only person, as most people probably are, and I see some volunteers even on the call. So it's great to list all of that stuff. And then of course there is that management and what are you really going to focus on question. And I was thinking of, I've never tried this, but I was thinking of giving particular tasks to students in the district. So like email database on the Excel spreadsheet and MailChimp emails to different people in that way. Sorry if you lost me. One, I think that might be a good way to get people involved virtually. So I just wanted to share that and see if there was any hesitation there, especially as I go for the proposal with my boss. And then the second thing I had a question on was your comment, I wrote it down, about you said, if content is for everyone, it's not for anyone. And especially our donor appeals, I do send them out to 19,000 people, to parents, to donors, to people who've attended our events. And I've also heard that if they unsubscribe, you're just getting a better list, you know?
That is very true. That's very true. So if you've got a lot of zombies on your email list, people who aren't opening anything, that can affect deliverability. It can actually signify that you don't have a healthy list, and your messages could go into junk or promotions more frequently, because your email provider, MailChimp or someone, is paying attention to how active your email list is. You're getting a lot of clicks, getting a lot of unsubscribes, so they prioritize delivery for people who have a high-performing list. It's hard to get rid of those zombies, because then you say, we had 17,000 people on our list, but you know, I tried to engage 10,000 of them who haven't clicked anything for 2 years, and now we have a 7,000 person email list. You know, that can be when you have to report that to leadership. But it is good practice to, you know, get people to say they're still interested if they haven't interacted with you. So that's that piece. The content for everyone not being for anyone. So you just listed off previous donors or current donors, parents. You've got some groups already. Could you send a slightly different appeal by email to those groups, where the intro paragraph is a parenty oriented paragraph? The rest of it is the same. It's a donor. You've already supported our organization, and we're asking you at this special time to give again. You know, if you have ability to just put people in big buckets and experiment with it, again, your mileage is going to vary. Every organization is slightly different, but that's what I mean by slice it down. Not that you need a special parent email appeal series that you write 7 versions, you know, one for each of your audiences, but let them know you know who they are to you.
Yeah.
We all want that. We all expect it from my electric company. You know, like, they welcome me when I log back in, and they know when I made my last payment and all of that stuff. We expect everybody to use the data that they're collecting to just, those niceties can really help response rates.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's a whole task. Even the email even the email address management into MailChimp it took me many hours at the beginning of the school year to get those groups. Yeah.
That's right. So you put that time in, now use them. Use those groups.
I'm glad to know we're doing a lot of this, but it's just doing more, you know. And
never ends. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Other folks, questions, comments? Or is it time to wrap it up, David?
Brett, what do you want to do?
Any other questions out there? Last chance to ask Maureen directly, live, in person.
As in person as we're getting, yeah.
Right.
And I think you said, Maureen, you are going to share your contact information in the slides. Okay, cool. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Maureen mentioned, you know, about our job as nonprofits with our websites and other, of course, she listed a lot of things, but on our website at the Chamber, we are going to have this recording available. We'll also, yeah, we're going to link out the slide deck that Maureen shares with us as well. So you'll have it via video. If there was somebody from your team who you feel like, man, I wish so-and-so would have seen this, we'll have it up there probably within a day on our Chamber. And for those of you that are not currently visiting our website, it's carlsbad.org. And we'll have, we have at the very top, the top navigation system, and also down on the page, we have a thing called webinars. You just click on it, and this will be up there at the top within a day or so. So encourage you to use that and share this presentation with those who else you think it might benefit in your team.
I have a favor for Maureen. If you'll take about 18 seconds and type that link into the chat box that you're going to talk about the donation, if you have it.
You know what? I will have to go outside of Zoom to get it. I'm sorry. I have your email address, David. I will email it to you directly. But yes, I'll include that too so that everybody can get everything. How's that sound?
That's good. I'll make sure that Brett's got everybody's contacts. I'll get it to him. That's perfect.
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay. No, that's a wonderful resource. We really appreciate you doing that. Not a problem at all. And David, what's the date of our next gathering?
When's our next date?
Yes.
You must be lonely. Let's see. I don't know. Is it September? No, August, September, October, I think. I don't know. I got to go out of Zoom onto my phone.
Right back at you.
There we go. Let's see. We've got a Wednesday in September. Yeah, I was right. September 29th. Looks like Monday, Sunday, Monday.
September 30th.
Yeah, September 30th. It's digital stuff gets me. And what I'm trying to get, right here in town, we've got two organizations, Classy and
oh yeah, I know the Classy guys. Stay Classy. Oh,
well,
yeah.
They won't. They're right here in town, and I can't get anybody to commit to doing a thing. But I think what I'm going to try and do is have them. And I've told them it's going to be. It's kind of like, just pretend you're doing a commercial for your service, but then go the parentheticals, which is this is why you do it and that kind of thing. So that's what I'm trying to make happen, and because online donation is really big these days.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Tell them you want a demo. Tell them you have 8 prospective clients who all want to look at it together. You want a community demo.
Well,
and that's really what you want. Like, show me around. How would this thing work?
I've been telling them, they just haven't been hearing it. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll get it. But I mean, that's what I'm heading towards. We'll see what happens.
Great. Well, thank you for those efforts. Thank you to everybody who took the time to join us today and tapped in. Especially a thank you to Maureen. It was great.
My pleasure. It was great.
And like a couple of you said, I feel like, okay, I'm doing a lot of these, but I can see where I'm falling down on one or another. So it was very great information and much appreciated. I'm going to wrap us up for today and look forward to seeing you all on Zoom in the near future at the Chamber. Just the last second plug. We do have many virtual networking opportunities so you can stay connected, and keep getting your messaging out about what you guys are up to. So hit our events calendar on our website, carlsbad.org. There's always opportunities. First Friday breakfast, happy hours, lunch and learns, other workshops and seminars. So thanks everybody for joining today, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.